Benefactor underwriting for this broadcast has been provided by a grant from Republic Bank. The power of red is back. Major underwriting support for this broadcast has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, M&T Bank, Perfect Building Maintenance, Customers Bank, Collins Building Services, Marks Paneth. Additional underwriting support has been provided by grants from AmTrust Title, Bank of America, Capital One Bank, Douglaston Development Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handro Properties LLC, Handler Real Estate Organization, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, John Catsimatidis Red Apple Group, New Banks, Meridian Capital Group, Ocean First Bank, RPW Group, TD Bank, the One Stop Property Group, and these friends. So they originally came to Pennsylvania, then New York City, then Queens, and then your mother wanted a house in the Bronx.
Right.
Then there was a place called White Tower, NYU, SO Touring Services? Nah, I'm going to get involved with a bank. A small little bank, Citibank. Oh, then maybe we'll go to another bank called NatWest. Then we'll go to Fleet. And then we'll go to this small little bank in this section of Queens called Flushing Bank. I have the president and CEO of Flushing Bank, John Burum, here. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here with you, Mike.
So tell me about the family who came to Pennsylvania. Let's start from there.
Sure.
Where they came from and everything.
So they came from Eastern Europe, what now would be considered either the Czech Republic or Slovakia, and they both sets of parents, of grandparents, came following World War I. And obviously Europe was in chaos at the time, so they came here to find a better life for their family, and settled in an area of Pennsylvania that was famous for coal mining and was
black lung disease.
And black lung disease, exactly. Both my grandparents died of black lung disease, and but they had a really wonderful life. They really lived a long life up until the time they got ill. But
you have a number of great pictures of your grandparents, originally from the old country, then Pennsylvania, then family pictures over there.
Yeah. It was for every vacation we had, we went back to Pennsylvania to see the grandparents, and that was our 2-week vacation every year for many, many years when I was a young boy. So I got to experience a lot of the culture, just different way of life than the city that I lived in. And I remember picking mushrooms with my grandfather, and just wonderful experiences.
Tell me about your dad, who joined the military.
Yeah, so my dad, he had to quit school in the 8th grade, and went to work basically painting lines for the county on the streets. And then when World War II broke out, he joined what was then the Army Air Corps. And
where was he stationed?
He was stationed. It was down south I think in Georgia is where it was. But he stayed stateside the whole time. He was a mess sergeant, and I guess that's probably how he wound up getting into the restaurant business later on in life.
So how did your father decide to move to New York?
Looking for better opportunities when the coal business was starting to change at that point in time, and obviously, it wasn't a business that, my father, even though he didn't have any more than an eighth grade education, he was a very smart man.
So when he came here, did he have any relatives in New York, or?
There was an uncle who lived in the Lower East Side, and if you remember at that time, the Lower East Side had a lot of Eastern European influence down there, and that was the only family member. So he was kind of a little bit of a pioneer coming here.
How old was he when he came here?
He was in his early 30s. So, but then he would go back and forth to Pennsylvania, met my mother.
In Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania,
Her family also was in the coal?
Her family was also in the coal mining business. They were also miners. Pretty much everybody in the family was a miner. And they met, and they decided to settle in New York permanently, and we lived on East 82nd Street, in between York and East End.
Right, in the Yorkville section.
Yeah, Yorkville section, yes, yes.
So when your father and the family moved here, what was he doing for a living?
So he immediately got into this restaurant business. It was a restaurant chain called White Tower back then. It was a hamburger operation.
Rather similar to White Castle.
Well, it's similar to White Castle, but we always considered White Tower better.
Okay, but similar in a manner that the buildings even looked similar.
Yes, that's exactly it. So it was a interesting time. We started started as a counterman, just the way everybody else did back in those days, and then he gradually became what they called a district manager. So he was over several stores in Manhattan and also in Queens. Then for a time, Elizabeth, New Jersey, but predominantly in Manhattan, and that's where their largest stores were. So it was good. It was a nice life.
Tell me about where were you born and growing up and so on.
Sure. So I was born in Manhattan, and grew up until about third grade. Lived in Manhattan. Went to Catholic school, St. Monica's, over on 79th Street. Used to roller skate along the East River Drive there, and as a young kid, things that kids don't do today.
Right.
Well, we still had the cobblestones on East End Avenue at that time. So going over the cobblestones with skates was interesting. So we were there for up until I was in third grade. We then moved to Astoria. And we lived in a two-family house in Astoria for a while, then into a small apartment building, and that was a wonderful experience. I had a lot of good friends in Astoria, and it was a great place to really great place. For
people our age, in junior high school, you were a member of the SP, the Special Persons.
Right.
So tell me about SP and.
Yeah. So. SP was Special Progress, and it allowed us to do 7th, 8th, and 9th grade in 2 years. And so essentially was able to skip a grade. And there were two classes in this particular high school. It was junior high school, 141 Steinway in Queens. And I met some really great young people that I grew up with and had a wonderful time. That was a nice part of my childhood.
So let's talk about some jobs you had when you were growing up. You had the newspaper route and you had others.
Yes, in Queens I had a newspaper route. I did that for a while, and then following that, when we moved up to the Bronx, I got a little older. So at 14, my father, who was district manager in the White Tower, said, do you want to get a job? I said, yeah, I'd love to get a job. So weekends I would be doing a counter work at on 7th Avenue and Greenwich Street. And
7th Avenue, great location.
Yeah, it was a wonderful location.
Wonderful location then too.
And it was just a totally different experience, of course. And I remember I'd get over there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and people would be coming in for hamburgers or something. It was a 24-hour operation. people would be coming in for hamburgers that early in the morning because they had just finished a whole night of partying, and it was just a fascinating place to work in for a while.
So how did you decide to go to Brooklyn Tech?
At that time, there were 3 schools that were, that were competitive. There was Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, and obviously Stuyvesant. And Brooklyn Tech had a football team, and I thought I'd love to play football. I was a reasonably decent athlete at the time, and
What position?
I was an end.
Really?
But I really never got to play. And really never got to play much. It just turned out to be too much to do practice and the job, and then get up to the Bronx in the evening. So that never came to fruition to any great degree.
So let's talk about your years at Tech. Did you enjoy it?
I did. I thought that Tech prepared me very, very well for college. When I left Tech, you had to take certain required math courses in college. I was able to, get those waived because of my academic record over at Tech, and obviously well regarded, and a school that gave you a real quality education, and I think that formed the basis of a strong orientation toward education.
Many of the people who went to Tech because they were, as you said, one of the 3 schools, also got into more technical business.
Yes, well, that was the other thing that happened when I went to Tech. I realized I did not want to be an engineer, so I had my fill of engineering at Tech. I was in the college prep course, so they gave you a wide variety, a wide view of the chemical engineering, electrical engineering, et cetera. So you got a little bit of a view of everything. And that's when I realized, no, I think I want to be a businessman, not really knowing much about what a businessman even was at the time.
So with that opportunity, the City University of New York, Baruch College, you could have gone to Baruch. Mm-hmm. And what happens, you didn't go to Baruch, but you had a great opportunity at NYU.
Yes. So my father's company, White Tower, they had this scholarship program, and I won the scholarship, and it was competitive. And we were, at that time, it was $4,000. So it's $1,000 a year. I was able also to get a Regents scholarship and also a scholarship. NYU also provided me with a small stipend as well. So I essentially was able to go to NYU without paying anything. So that was great. I as soon as I got the scholarship from White Tower, I decided, maybe I'll leave Baruch behind and go to NYU.
And you went to Washington Square.
Washington Square.
Great environment.
Absolutely great environment.
Were you still working on Greenwich?
I was still working on Greenwich for a while.
Convenient, so you weren't too far away.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. And then I decided I didn't want to be doing hamburgers anymore, and decided that I would move
You got
uptown.
the job with the lawyer, right?
Yeah. Well, now this one was actually the Esso Touring Service.
Oh, yeah, the Esso Tour.
Yeah.
Tell people what Esso Touring Services was, and then there was the AAA Touring Services. So
Sure. So people would either come in person, or they would by mail request a route to take them, around the country, down to Florida, and you would have to map out this route with kind of magic markers.
Marker over there to map.
Exactly.
Okay, you got to go to I-95 over here. And
before GPS, right? Exactly.
What comes after Esso?
Graduate from NYU, and decide that I'm going to go to grad school at night, which I started to do, and I started looking around for jobs. And at that point in time, 1971, there really wasn't a lot. It was a difficult time to find jobs. So I landed a job as a general manager of a chain of hardware, houseware stores, and they were owned by an attorney, and he brought me on board to, run the business for him, basically. So he didn't have to worry about it.
How many stores did he have?
It was 7 stores at the time. So one of them was right in Greenwich Village on 8th Street, an area that I knew very, very well, with my background at NYU, and it was really wonderful. And there was one at Sutton Place, and there was one in the 70s, and there were a couple more around. And so it turned out to be it was a real experience to actually run an entire business, do everything, hiring people, and just managing things on a day-to-day basis.
So how do you then go to Searle?
So it became a 7-day-a-week job for me.
The
hardware business.
You were there 7 days.
Yeah, and it really started to interfere with both family life and also grad school. So I decided that I would look around for something else, and I interviewed with several companies, and G.D. Searle picked me up as a pharmaceutical salesman. As you know, they used to call him detail man.
Detail man,
yeah,
right.
Back in the day, right, the detail man. That was very interesting. Searle was the inventor of the birth control pill and had some very, very high quality pharmaceuticals at the time.
I would be remiss because I didn't go back to the days when you were in high school. How'd you get involved with karate? And let's talk about karate because it's been so much black belt in you and your kids and everybody's life.
Yes, it has been. So when I was 15, 16 years old, I had a friend at Brooklyn Tech who had started to do martial arts, and he was doing what was then typically called karate as a general term, but he was training with a grandmaster from Korea by the name of S. Henry Cho, who was really a pioneer in the art. And he was on 23rd Street off of 6th Avenue. And the summer before I went to college, I started training with Henry Cho, and it was just met a lot of good friends that I have right up until this day. As you know, my family had gotten involved in it. All my sons became black belts.
How'd your wife get involved?
My wife as well. That was in the 80s. So in the 80s, when the boys started getting a little bit older, after I had trained them a little bit on my own, I decided let me just, get somebody, more professional to train them on.
Today you're at what level?
7th degree black belt.
How high do they go?
They go 10th, 12th degree.
Now you have 4 sons, right?
Yeah.
Are they all black belt also?
Yes, they are.
At what level? What degree are they?
They're 1st degree. They didn't go any further. They got involved in other things, football, baseball, whatever. So.
Are you still actively involved today?
I train on my own pretty much. My subsequent grandmaster by the name of Park, he was the 1988 Olympic coach. He has a tournament that he does every year, and I help him out with that tournament. And sometimes I'll officiate at a tournament, or I'll officiate at a black belt test.
How did the grandchild get involved to the level of?
So my grandson decided that he wanted to do it after seeing his father and pictures of his father being involved, and knowing my involvement. So what we wound up having was 3 generations of between myself, my son, and my grandson being trained by this Y.H. Park, a 1988 Olympic coach.
Because you were a detail man, you had to travel around and carry the samples. It was very worthwhile to be a black belt.
Well, it was actually, because one of the areas that I covered at the time was Alphabet City, which now has become a very, very Tony neighborhood, and back in those days, and it was pretty rough down there.
So how many years do you spend at J.D. Searle?
I was there a little over 4 years. And during that time period, I'm getting my master's degree at NYU. At NYU. And, I think, there were a couple opportunities in Searle that popped up, but nothing ever really totally panned out.
So how did you decide one day to get involved with this little bank called Citibank?
So I happened to go to
First National Bank of New York City was it?
It was First National Bank of New York. Actually, they had just changed their name at around that time, not too not too far after that. But they, I used to go to school. I had a day session and a night session because I'd go in the daytime, I'd go do Taekwondo, and then I'd do a night session at NYU. So this one night, I really didn't have anything to do, and I see Citibank is having this open, kind of an open house, talking about what was then the big deal for them, their whole consumer business and the big push that John Reed had started. I go there, and I just fascinated by the people and their just what they spoke about in terms of the innovation that was taking place in banking in general.
That was the beginning of the ATM, right? They
Yep.
were the first.
Yep, they were the first to really expand an entire ATM network, and there was so this is now like it's probably 77, right? So they had this project called Branch 77, where they were putting in ATMs in every one of their branches and totally revamping their branches. So I went there, was accepted in their management training program, and their management training program for MBAs was basically, you're going to have this job for 6 months, another job for another 6 months, and they were real jobs. It was like you weren't in there studying things.
Right.
You were in there learning on the job.
In the ditches.
Yeah.
There was...
Exactly.
Now, you were involved, as I said, the ATMs and Metropolitan Banking, and you spent, 17 years with Citibank?
I spent 17 years at Citibank, and I was a financial analyst. I worked on this technology piece. I ran a back office. I ran branch banking. I ran business banking. So I had a very, very strong background, a very diverse background. As a matter of fact, I did everything except for the degree that I had, which was in marketing. So I never did the marketing job, but I did everything else.
You've been doing the marketing in every other career.
Right.
So what happens after 17 years? NatWest?
Yeah, NatWest. I was recruited over to NatWest. A few people who I knew from Citibank went over there, and we then NatWest, of course, was picked up by Fleet, and Fleet went through its changes with Bank Boston. I worked a little bit as a consultant, and then one day a headhunter calls me up and says, would you be interested in this bank in Flushing? And
Flushing. I grew up in Queens. You remember? I said I lived on Astoria.
Yeah, exactly. Flushing was very, very well known to me, and I always thought that the borough of Queens was one of the greatest places to live, just in general. And so I said sure. And
so you joined them when?
Joined them in 2001. And
one of your mentors was this guy, Mike Haggerty?
Mike Haggerty, yes. So, one of the things that I never really got in all of my work in banking was kind of a real top-level corporate overview. And Mike had been a CFO at a defense contractor, and he just was, and a board member as well. So he really understood corporate governance. He understood finance at the corporate level, all of which I had, of course, studied at NYU, but never really had the opportunity to apply.
No, the practical.
So he was he was a really, really great mentor to me. He filled in what I thought was probably the real last gap that I had in my whole experience.
So you joined Flushing when?
2001.
Okay.
As Chief Operating Officer.
Right, and then in 2003?
2003, I'm elected to the board, and then 2005, I take over as CEO.
2001 to today, how has the bank grown? Besides the fact that it's no Flushing Savings.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's another story, right?
Right.
Well, it was $1.2 billion when I joined in 2001 as Chief Operating Officer, and then we just grew the bank mostly organically. Had a couple of acquisitions along the way.
Including during the pandemic when you took over?
Yes. That was an interesting one. That was a really interesting one. So we're operating on this three days in the office, 2 days out. Flipping back and forth so people aren't exposed. We don't expose the entire bank to COVID, and we have this opportunity to pick up this bank, Empire National Bank, which very, very fine institution, about $1 billion. We take it over, and it was challenging, but done very, very well. I've got a great team of people.
I have to bring up the fact that you were honored by St. Francis, got an honorary doctorate a number of years ago. You've been honored by a number of institutions, but tell me about family, wife, and all the names of the boys and the kids.
So my wife is Denise. We got married in 1972. 71. My boys are, the oldest is John, second is Chris, Michael is third, and James. And none of them are in banking. They're all doing something, something different, making their own way, so to speak, in various things. We like to get together and travel. We had a birthday party for one of our 8 grandchildren. Recently, we had a spectacular trip to Italy just a little while ago. All 18 of us went there on a wonderful journey, and family life is so important.
So as you just said, journey, you've had a very interesting journey. There are few people who would realize that you're a 7th degree belt, okay? That fortunately, you had a good job that gave you a scholarship to NYU, okay? And you've built a great bank over the years, and so I'm happy that you were able to join me today. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mike.